Okay, good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here and be able to provide an update on the Atlantic Seabed Mapping Working Group. It's truly a collaborative effort, and in that collaborative appetite, we're going to be sharing the presentation, all three of us, with my colleagues from the Europe and as well as the U.S. We'll be speaking not only on the pilot test that was mentioned, but we'll give an update on the status of the working group as well as some of the next steps that we have. So seabed mapping matters. This morning we heard several speakers mention or use the analogy of having the surface of the moon or of Mars knowing more information and being better mapped. Well, that's true, unfortunately. But we want to change that, at least with the Atlantic Ocean. So we want to move towards that. So seabed mapping does matter. This slide here simply shows, if you can imagine a well-mapped information of the seabed, the positive impacts it would make not only for industry. Paul showed the wide range of different industry, but also for issues like safety, economic development, academia, opening opportunities for more research. So there's a lot of impact and rationale for having a well-mapped seafloor. This overlay just shows a bathymetric image of how detailed it can be. And when we talk about seabed mapping, essentially there's the three main types: the bathymetry, basically the shape of the seafloor, and then there's also the benthic habitat, what's growing there, and the critters, and then there's the geology, the superficial as well as the subsurface. So those are the main three types, and those are the main three disciplines that we tend to get organized. But you can just see the level of detail on just this coastal bathymetric image. So this is a long-term exercise, considering where we are now. But these last, since the signing of the Galway, we truly consider this foundation for the future. This is, it's truly early days. So some of the key milestones are certainly the signing of the Galway. We had a workshop in December in Dublin, which we considered the start of the bringing experts together to get their advice. In February, which was only 6 weeks ago, we had the inaugural meeting of our seafloor mapping working group, of which this crossing you'll hear about was the origin. And of course, today here we are talking, giving an update and being a part of the launch for the Horizon 2020. So in the Galway statement, there was a clear reference to the importance of seabed mapping, and in some of the visioning statement, we took a piece out of the vision here that mapping the Atlantic to underpin the accuracy of predictive models and forecasts, and as well as the ecological and economical importance of having the seabed mapped. And so that workshop in December was key, where we brought a number of expertise together. And again, this was only 4 months ago, so we truly are in these early days. At that point, the workshop was organized with the intention to identify the key seabed and habitat mapping issues, and to develop an early mapping strategy. The approach was to have the invited expertise present from government, academia, industry to provide us the best advice on getting us started. Coming from that meeting, we agreed on 5 key issues that we did need this strategy and an action plan should be developed for mapping the seafloor. That's being worked on. But that comes complete with this working group from the three nations put together. And again, we're just developing terms of references and finalizing membership of this working group. Leveraging resources, this is all about synergies and looking at opportunities that we didn't know of. Integrating key initiatives that are already existing, whether it's planned cruises or different data sets. Developing pilot studies. It was talked about that we can't do it all at once, so what are some target areas we can start and develop methodologies and standardize some of the details. But raising awareness is critical, because a lot of this stuff ties to political will, and political will means our citizens need to be well informed as to why they want to have a seafloor mapped. Okay. I'll just put these all out. All right, so the working group meeting, so this was the inaugural meeting, and again, just 6 weeks ago. And the concept is that within each of our nation countries, we can then have a subgroup. I could have a Canadian subgroup on Atlantic seabed mapping, where I pull together the expertise within Canada on academia, industry, and government, and then we can feed into this broader tripartite working group. So this meeting, the participants, we had 20 people from mainly from scientists and policy policy makers, and coming from that, we had 4 key priorities were identified. I'm going to talk about 2 and then pass it over to my colleague. The first one I mentioned was leveraging resources. This is basically the sharing of information, the having a list of different programs, an inventory of science vessels, knowing more about what each other are doing, who are the contacts, who are the authorities, to really create that community of practice. And that has already started. The second priority is all about integration, integrating key initiatives, sharing best practices. Some countries are ahead of others, and how can we learn from others? So things that came out of that, we're developing a web page when we're dealing with data and where to store the data, services solution, looking at what we do have now, compiling it and presenting it, and being able to have it shared with each other and public. Looking at future survey science plans and opportunities and being able to share, and then look at a way forward with respect to obtaining data. So and a big part of that is what many of our governments are undertaking now in the open government context, is that this will be made quickly, readily, and freely available to our citizens. So I'll pass it off now to Tommy.